What are cryptocurrencies?
Hey.
What are NFTs?
A non-fungible token.
Time to buy Bitcoin.
Bitcoin just seems like a scam.
What's up, Veecon-inspired!
Hello everyone, welcome back to On The Ledger. This is your host Moel Sayed, and I'm back once again on a weekly rendezvous. Only this time around, I am live from Minneapolis for Veecon. Veecon is a multi-day conference put together by Gary Vee and his amazing team. And I have to say that they really didn't disappoint. There's an amazing lineup of speakers, panels, and collaborative experiences. I'm here with the Ledger team, and the good news is that we'll be taking you with us to meet some of our favorite guests and listen to what they've been up to. For today's episode, I'm super stoked to be chatting with Betty, who's the co-founder and Horde mother of DeadFellaz. For those of you who are not very familiar with the NFT space, DeadFellaz is an NFT project consisting of 10,000 undead NFTs on the Ethereum blockchain. Betty has been keeping her identity private for the past year, but this time around she decided to dox herself specifically at Veecon, and she'll tell us all about it in a few minutes. Hey Betty, how's it going?
It's going well.
I mean, I'm very happy and super stoked to be chatting with you. We've been talking for a while, but to physically see someone and obviously having been through all of what you've been through in the past year, I'm very much, looking forward to, first of all, addressing, the elephant in the room. How was that doxing experience like, and why did you decide to do it at Veecon?
The experience has been wild. The words don't really come easily for it because I don't think there's much to compare it to, but I was very nervous. Although it was something that I wanted to do, it was never my intention to remain anonymous forever. I always wanted to come to these sorts of events in person. So I was excited as well as nervous. Veecon, the reason I did it here is just because the opportunity to be here came up, and I did toy with the idea of just doing, the activation and not speaking or sending someone else from the team or, something like that. But I really just wanted to connect with everyone. It's kind of cool to be able to meet you. I've talked to you so many times, and now I get to sit with you. Other project founders of projects that I love and people in my community. I mean,
it's actually, when you think about it, the NFT space has really enabled us to build digital identities, and that truly emancipates us, from the physical biases that we might, be going through in our daily lives, and the idea is that as a project founder, you kind of are able to protect yourself and your family, but at the end of the day, you truly have a certain pressure as well from the NFT community to really find out who's behind that avatar. And the past year has been crazy for you. For the listeners that might not know your story or the story of DeadFellaz, could you maybe give us a quick overview of your background and where you're coming from and how that DeadFellaz idea came to life?
So my background is in creative production, community organizing. I've kind of done a bit of everything over my adult life, I guess. I was, before DeadFellaz, the co-director of my own agency with Psych, who is my co-founder for DeadFellaz and the artist for DeadFellaz. We were doing a lot of corporate work. It was great. We were blessed with good clients and all of that, but the pandemic hit, and creative work was the first thing to be really hurt. I think it was quite a hard time. We went from doing really cool campaigns and things to COVID explainer videos for everyone. It was last January. Some artists in a collective that Psych has been a part of for a while, Depthcore, they introduced him to NFTs and said, hey, you should have a look at this. He explained it to me, and I was just immediately extremely excited. I had been waiting for something like that, like a big pivotal shift, something that we could create some real change with. So I immediately identified it as an opportunity, and he basically started making one-of-ones right away. I just dove into learning. I would sit on Clubhouse and listen. It was a lot of lurking for a long time. I was on Twitter, but even on Psych's Twitter, I didn't even have my own Twitter. I was a bit intimidated to join the space myself at first. So, but as soon as I became comfortable, it was like too much. I had to just jump in. So, yeah.
I mean, it's fascinating, and you see about that lurking experience. I think we've all been through that. You're fascinated with whatever's happening in the space, and you're basically lurking around and trying to find your own project or where your own interests actually intersect with whatever's happening in the space. So for DeadFellaz specifically, how did the idea come to life, and what kind of triggered it?
Well, it was through that lurking. I was enamored with what was going on, but there wasn't really anything that I felt connected to. Like, I didn't see anything that I personally would want to use as my profile picture, but I did want to interact with that sort of movement that was happening. I didn't see anything that captured like who I am. And so I thought, well, I feel like that, so other people feel like that, so there needs to be something. A lot of people were contacting Psych for art, to do art on their projects and whatnot, and I was like, let's just, like, me and you, we will do this. The idea for DeadFellaz itself, like the name, the look, the aesthetic, like what it was gonna and capture all came really quickly. Like, I just had to sit for 5 minutes. And it was like amazing. A lightning bolt, then everything. It was like this beautifully formed, like, light bulb moment. I brought it to Psych. I explained to him like what I saw it looking like. We created like the first little avatar, which we have never released anywhere, and it's very cute, and we will one day.
Like the
base. Well, we will someday. It's really cute. And I saw that little guy, and I was like, this is going to change some things. Like, this is going to be really big. And the process of developing it then out, like all the different traits, it was really fun. It was so creative and like joyful. It was very stressful and very, very, very hard work. Imagine. But at the same time, like, we were able to sit together and work on things that we were super passionate about. We were like listening to all of our favorite music, and we had TV on, and like, you know, looking at all different fashion that we love, like bringing all of those different elements in. How can we pay homage to, you know, this animation or this band? Like, one of the mouth traits is for Gorillaz, because we love the band Gorillaz and like what they did with digital identity well before their time. All of that. So
I mean, it's fascinating when you have that creative understanding with someone and you start having that moment of, you know, flow and the ideas come out. But you know, to me, like, the Web3 space is also a very steep learning curve, because, you know, if you're minting a 10,000 PFP collection, there's a lot of technical elements that you need to be, you know, mastering in some way or another. How did you approach that? And you know, were there any challenges, you know, that you had to face, and how did you actually approach them with your partner?
Well, we're fast learners and adaptable, and I like to. I'm always learning. I really am passionate about learning, so I'm constantly, you know, hungry for more information on anything that I'm interested in, or anything that gives context to my work. So for me, it was just another thing to learn. I don't do any of the actual dev. You know, we outsourced that. We had devs that we brought in, that we worked on. Well, one of them was a dev 9999, the last CryptoPunk. And they worked on the 4156 project. Do you remember that? In the crypto voxels early last year. Psych did all of the aesthetics and the visuals for that. And so they met there, and they're just an incredible dev. So we met people through this in the space. That's what's cool. We were then able to form like a building working trust. We don't know their name, we've never seen them, but like it's an interesting part of Web3, you know, you build that rapport and that working relationship with having never met, like you and I. So I think that kind of leads into the collaborative nature of Web3, and that's something that I love so much about it. I think it changes the dynamic in everything that we're doing in the creative industries and other industries. And
absolutely. I mean, there are a lot of resources in the Web3 space, and a lot of people that are actually have this drive to collaborate and, you know, create fascinating stuff. And I think when you look at, you know, what's happening today with the market, and, you know, obviously all of us have suffered, and our bags, we're all sad because the floors haven't been as high as they were last year. But when you think about it, the people who actually get to stay and build throughout this downtime are the ones who are really in it for the values and the vision. And to that point specifically, what do you think the projects need in general in order to sustain the level of interest from the community that they've created during a bull market? Because obviously during a bull market it's rainbows and butterflies, all the projects are succeeding, and then during a time like the one we're living at the moment, you have obviously a lot of projects, kind of the other way around. You only have a handful of projects that are able to sustain that level of interest, and obviously DeadFellaz is one of them. What's the secret behind that?
I think I've been speaking a lot about this weekend with people. I think that the cyclical nature of the space and the way that we go in like bull markets and then we'll in a bear market right now. I think that it's challenging for people that launched in those bull markets because that's what they expect. And what is there aside from that hype and that, crazy community activity and joy? And when that goes away, what's left? Mm-hmm. And so for us, I think that we do have a benefit of having launched quite before all of it really truly exploded. I think we launched at a really nice time. Everything was kind of more focused on creativity and innovation and experimentation. And so our project was born from that because that's who we are as people, but also we were quickly adopted by the creator community in NFTs. It was not really about, flipping for the people that joined us right away. A lot of the main artists in the space that I absolutely love are big fans of DeadFellaz, people that have really opened doors for others like Lorona and Fuckrender. Mm-hmm. And I think that all of those people are also focused on innovation and experimentation and creativity and like how can we apply that to this space rather than the hyper focus on finance. And I know that they intersect and it's an important intersection, but it can't be the focus. And I think that when you're building in response to just that, there isn't anything that will continue when that part either falls away or is, at risk, like right now. So for us, it just isn't a focus. For us, we just continue to build to the vision that we have, that we know we are doing. And I think that that's just hard for people that may have launched when everything was, crazy, ecstatic a few months ago. So yeah, I think that a lot of people are in survival mode now, but I would say that if you can, definitely try and use this time to build.
Exactly.
It's so cliche.
Pressure.
So much less.
Yeah.
And now because as well, even the communities, they're not preoccupied with constantly like this rising floor. Like it's less of a focus.
Yes.
And I like that sort of because it really encourages people to look beyond that. Like, what does it mean to be a part of the community? How do I enjoy my interactions with this space? What do I bring? There's a lot outside of that.
And you feel like the community is the ones who stay during these hard times will add value as well to the whole project. They do add value. They do. Bring in their ideas and participate in this storytelling aspect or the evolution of the lore itself.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, obviously DeadFellaz have a very distinctive identity, and there is storytelling that's being built around that collection. Where do you see that going in the future in terms of the intellectual property itself?
Well, it is a really, really important part of DeadFellaz. For that reason, we've had a narrative designer and a concept artist that have been working together for months, developing all of that. So we have a very, very rich and fully fleshed out world with the lore. It's so expansive and huge, and I find that brands that can really provide an immersive experience and have a world that people can fall in love with in a really deep way will do amazing things. So you see, like, for example, like Spider-Man, the IP, you can see that across everything. You have like little kids' cartoons, there's comics, there's like really dark live action stuff. You could see that across a lot of different things. And that's how I see DeadFellaz. We can really apply it to anything. But I think that the unique intersection that we have in NFTs is that we get to create it. And so we can be like, oh, we're going to work with Ledger and do this cool thing, or we're going to work with this streetwear brand, and just constantly thinking up new ways to be in the DeadFellaz world, in the real world. I love it. It's very exciting.
Yeah, I love that what you said about storytelling. If you think about it, storytelling has such an important place within our world. Everything is storytelling.
Everything.
Like, nations, religions, and
It
even
all
entertainment. It's all is storytelling, and how do you unite people around an idea that evokes something, to your point, emotionally to them. And it's not an easy job. It's very, very hard to manage an IP. And to that point, you actually signed a deal with UTA. So first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
Because, UTA are obviously one of the biggest talent agencies out there. And it's very interesting to me to see, the blockchain-based IP starting to not compete yet with, off-chain IP, if you can characterize them this way, or mainstream IP, but it's getting there.
Yeah.
And if you have, talent agencies like UTA being interested in managing blockchain IP, it is actually very positive for the whole space.
Yeah.
And I think, and I'm interested to know what your thoughts are about that topic, but you're going to see like the blockchain-based intellectual property going to the physical world, and then you're going to have the physical world or off-chain intellectual property trying to come on chain. And you started seeing it with Disney launching their own digital assets on the blockchain, and then obviously DeadFellaz and other projects like the Doodles and the Apes are starting to try and bring to life their IP in the physical world. How do you see that like kind of transition happening on both sides, and what do you think DeadFellaz' role is going to be in that in the physical world?
I think what I see us as a bridge, a meaningful one for Web2 brands. Our intention is to build across both of those worlds in parallel, really blurring the lines with it and bringing constant value. So UTA is providing like a really great cut through.
It's all right. We just have
Sorry.
someone passing by and saying hi.
Sorry, I'm distracted.
It's all right.
So UTA are really providing that cut through for us to be able to reach the people that want to work with us, and we can bring cool ideas to them in a way that they understand, because UTA, the team that we're working with there, the Web3 team, is like a dedicated team. They deeply understand Web3. They're from Web3, but they also have this very deep understanding IP relationships between collaborating brands and what people can do to expand on that. So yeah, for us it's like, how do we do it in a way that is respectful of the ethos to Web3? A lot of brands have entered the space in very interesting ways that may not have been great for everyone, and actually may have been detrimental to the space in general, because other brands see that happening and they're like, oh my gosh, look what happened. So I see this opportunity as us to be able to stop that. There's a lot of other people doing it as well, and I think that that's very positive. As mass adoption happens, people will want those like cutting edge collaborations. We can do very new things as well with them. Like, they might not have the facilities or the capabilities to be able to like throw a metaverse party or have like, wearables that have real life merch at the same time. And maybe we do like a digital fashion show, but that's happening in real life too. Like, that's not really their world for many of those, but we can do that. So yeah, I think it's going to be very, very interesting. The next few years are going to be very interesting, and seeing that evolve, it will be fascinating, because when you think about it, it's kind of like when you have this community owned intellectual property, and back to the earlier point that we were making about the community being able to participate in the evolution of that intellectual property,
you're actually decentralizing culture in one way or another, because you don't have to go to a certain publisher or a certain streaming platform or a certain, whatever gallery if you're an artist in order to give you that stamp of approval and be like, hey, you can do your thing.
Yeah.
You can actually finance and support the ideas from within the community. And then when you have that built-in fan base, all of these publishers and distributors will be interested in it. And I'm curious, and probably, you have a lot of things planned on your roadmap, but can you give us any kind of sneak peeks of how that, intellectual property of the DeadFellaz in general, as all of these characters, will be brought to life, in the next few years, or, in 2022?
So I mean, we're looking at expanding, and we are expanding currently into all facets of entertainment and media. And so with that will come, what you typically expect from that: TV shows and movies and music videos and all of that. But that's very normal stuff, and we like to push the boundaries. And so meta wrapping, what we're developing it's basically interoperability for our avatars for DeadFellaz. So it will be, you can take your DeadFell into any metaverse space that's currently around, including Web2 platforms like TikTok and Twitch, and you can be your DeadFella in those spaces. So you can stream as your DeadFella, you can play games as your DeadFella, wherever you are. And that's going to be a big thing anyway. That's very expensive, and it's going to open that up for everyone in the space. And I think will be quite pivotal in heading towards that interoperability that's such a buzzword that we don't really see at the moment.
Yeah, and having that sense of digital identity, being able to allow the community members to actually embody the DeadFellaz avatars within these different worlds. And at the end of the day, you might have that sense of, liberty to take on your DeadFella and create another project with it, or you could have a DeadFella singer, actor, just basically because they are embodying the avatar within a digital world. And I find that to be fascinating, because at the end of the day, back to the whole thing about the storytelling, it's actually going to be every single community member participating with their character.
That's it. And content is king, and they can create their own content. They can represent the DeadFellaz brand however they want to. Playing with digital identity is something that was a cornerstone of DeadFellaz. It's why I was anonymous to start off with, or one of the reasons. As a flagship example of how you can create a personal brand around a profile picture. And I did. I was on crazy panels with people, just, everyone else's photo and my green zombie. Just show people that you can do that, and now we can expand on that even more. But yeah, everything's about communication, wanting to belong to something, wanting to be heard. So, yeah.
So it's time to move on to our last segment of the show.
Okay.
This is called Rapid Fire.
Oh, okay.
So obviously the name says it all, rapid fire questions.
Yeah.
Some of them will be harder than others, but the idea is, that you shouldn't take a lot of time to answer them.
Sure.
So are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. So your favorite NFT drop?
My favorite NFT drop?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I was so excited about Doodles when they dropped. That one.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Why? Is there a specific reason?
The art was just so sick. I was just so obsessed with it. That's one of the first ones that I've been like, oh my God, I just love it. Yeah.
Same here.
Great.
Well, shout out to the Doodles team.
Yeah.
We love them.
Yeah.
Your favorite Web3 figure?
Oh, my favorite. I'm going to go with Mech, my innovations consultant. She's epic.
Why?
Yeah, her brain works differently than anyone else's that I know. She's very innovative. She thinks completely outside the box, and she's brilliant.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Australia or the States?
Can I say both?
No, we have to choose.
I love Australia because I live there, but we might be moving to LA because it's going to be easier to work from. So I don't know. I
have
can't
to say
really
LA
answer
as well.
that. Yeah.
All right. What's your favorite thing about Australia?
The country itself, the land, is beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. URL or IRL?
URL. No, I love IRL too. Both.
Okay, tell me why both.
Well, online, I have had the best time ever in the last year. Absolutely epic. It's been amazing. Amazing.
You have that sense of freedom, right?
Yeah, it's just wild.
Yeah.
And just it's exhilarating being around such amazing, brilliant people that are pushing boundaries and building cool shit. All of that is just very inspiring. I love it.
It's crazy.
So much.
You could be chatting with a 14-year-old or a 70-year-old or whatever sexual orientation or skin tone.
Yeah.
And the digital identity basically takes that all away and focuses only on the ideas and the narrative. And I think that's fascinating.
It is fascinating. Yeah, it is. It's a very interesting space to be working in. And it's for that. Yeah, I love online. But nothing beats real life connection.
Yeah, I think so too. What do you think is the most underhyped project of the space currently?
Creature World.
Why?
I think that Danny is brilliant. I've said brilliant for a bit in the last few minutes, but there's a lot of brilliance going on. Danny is someone that focuses on creativity and experimentation in a way that I find really inspiring. I think that I just really think he's great. And I think that he's ahead of his time.
What about your biggest NFT regret?
My biggest NFT regret? Well, I mean, everyone saw me buy a Moonbird at 39 ETH.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
you bought one at 39?
No, people were not happy. Yeah, wow. that happened recently, and then
yeah, it happens to the best of us. We all FOMO.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. It's fine. My hidden folder, my bird is nesting. Let's just say my hidden folder is pretty full too. As I'm sure yours is, and everyone else.
Yeah, I mean, it's all right. As I was saying, happens to the best of us. We can all FOMO. What about your dream collab?
My dream collab? Yeah. Oh God, I really want to make a Balenciaga faux fur coat.
All right.
That's pretty what I really want.
Like a DeadFellaz one?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
that'd be really
I would love
cool.
that. But I've got a lot of dream collabs and some of them are happening, so I can't really talk too much about that.
No alpha?
No alpha, sorry.
Luxury? Fashion?
Not gonna give any hints because my community will jump on it immediately.
All right, I understand.
Yeah.
What's your favorite DeadFellaz memory?
Minting out, I think.
Minting out.
Yeah.
The first day. Feels good, right?
It was. I knew it was gonna happen, but it was.
Yeah, you knew it was gonna happen, but when it happens, it's still good.
It was
still a good
unbelievable,
feeling.
even though I knew it was going to happen. It was just wild. It really just signified like a change, like a change in direction, and like it was just insane.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you had to bet a Bitcoin on an emerging artist in the space, who would it be?
An emerging artist.
Yes.
One of my favorite artists at the moment is Cyber Yu.
Okay.
They create amazing portrait photography, but it's like playing with identity and the idea of colonialism and self-expression and all of those sorts of things, gender and race, but they do it by inserting themselves into like classical art.
Interesting. I think I've seen that.
It's very amazing. It's like striking. Like as soon as I saw it, I was like, wow.
Okay.
Like very cool.
Where can we find them?
Cyber Yu is on all platforms.
All platforms?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my favorite piece at the moment is called The Swing, and it's for sale. And I'm like, I want to buy it, but I want someone else to buy it too, because I want the best for them. But
can you talk to us about the piece?
It's called The Swing, and it's there's like a classical painting of the swing, and they're on it. It's just they're on the swing instead. It's just fantastic.
I'll
anyway,
check it out.
Yeah.
And what about your guilty pleasure collection?
My guilty pleasure collection? I don't know if it's a guilty pleasure. Is it? Maybe. I have a few collections that bring me true joy. Like it makes me laugh. There is one, and it's pretty under the radar. It's called Juicebox Friends, and it's by an artist called Sarah Stargill, and she made me as a Juicebox friend, and it just made me laugh for like 10 minutes. So I love that one.
I need to be checking a lot of things out after that podcast.
I just think it's so funny. It's just like anything that kind of lends itself to meme culture in a way that's I just love. So that is basically that. It's great. Another one is the Toads, Cryptoads. Yeah,
so
not
funny.
Guilty though.
Not
just
guilty.
Straight up pleasure. Like I love them.
Emperors are great as well, to be honest. And if there was one thing you could change about the space, what would it be?
Oh my God. The bro culture. Yeah, the bro culture. It's hard to break. It's hard. I can see it getting there, and I can see that there's a lot of challenge to it, but it's still there.
What do you think is the biggest challenge to it? Like, Because if you had, you know, obviously, you know, I'm a man. Like, what should I change in my behavior to make it less intimidating for women?
I think it's just honestly, I think it's just every person like looking into themselves and thinking like, what can I personally do? How am I perpetuating this personally? And all of us will have something, and we can just work on that, because it's you know, this space, like we talk about it being like this beautiful you know, utopia where everyone's equal. It's just not the case, because it's just a reflection of real life, and real life we haven't solved any of those issues. We're still working on it all. So yeah.
Like, I really want to double down on that, because it's a very important topic. As a woman, what for you was the hardest thing in this space, apart from the fact that, you know, it's dominated by men? Like in as an artist, obviously you had that layer of protection because you were in digital avatar. But I think even by being a digital avatar, was there a lot of pressure being put on you in some way or another?
There is always a lot of pressure. I think I'm held to a different standard than male founders. I have to do things in a different way. I communicate constantly. I'm good friends with people that I work with founders of all of the other projects that you see, and I see the difference in experience between my experience to their experience, and that can be a little disheartening. But I mean, there's a lot of good men in this space, like a lot.
And if there was a single advice that you give to a woman who's just starting her journey in the Web3 space, what would it be?
Find your community pretty early.
Being surrounded.
Yeah, because you don't want to navigate this place solo. It can be quite lonely otherwise. So for me, it was, I didn't really feel like I could enter the space. I didn't really hear anyone speaking about the things that I wanted to speak about. And I felt like, you know, should I? Like, is there a place for me to do that? And then I heard the Rug Radio BIPOC LGBTQ show. They've got Twitter spaces that they run all the time. It's Patrick and Ed Balloon and Brittany Pierre and Mech, and they were running this space, and I would listen to it, and just listening to them speak about what they spoke about was so different, and it really kind of gave me that, like, oh, there's a place for me.
Safe space.
I felt really welcome there, and that really helped encourage me to continue.
All right.
Yeah.
One last question before I let you go.
Sure.
Where do you see DeadFellaz in 5 years?
Oh God. Just like an absolute monolith of pop culture. I see us everywhere. I see DeadFellaz is going to be one of the biggest brands in the world.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Betty, it was so good to see you. Thank you so much for stopping by. Best of luck to you and the DeadFellaz.
Thank you.
And, you know, I'm very much looking forward to see what you guys are going to do with this.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
See you.
Bye.
That's it. Great chat with Betty. Gotta love her vibe and commitment to the space. Stay tuned, because we've got more coming from Veecon. And if you haven't subscribed to our show yet, please hit that subscribe button and help you get the content you deserve. This was On The Ledger from Veecon with your host Moel Sayed. Till next time, see ya! This content is provided for informational purposes only and is the sole expression of our opinion, and should not be relied upon as legal, business, investment, or tax advice. Do your own research. Any loss or profit is your sole responsibility. Stay safe.